I'm basically the dirty talk queen.
I mean, you said those lines so naturally.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Yeah, I literally wake up. It's just like, oh, your cock is so big.
Good morning.
Yeah. My husband's like, oh yeah, baby.
Hi, everyone. Before we get into today's episode, we wanted to take a moment to thank you for listening and watching. Whether you're an OG listener or someone who just recently discovered us, you're the reason we make the show and are able to keep it going.
With all your love and support, you've been able to keep this podcast going since 2017. Wow, that's a long time. The last few years, we've been able to connect with you every week, now bi-weekly, with our mini shows with fresh new episodes.
As we enter year 7, oh my God, year 7 of ABG, we would love your support to keep the show going, which is why we are launching ABG Besties, where you'll get our new audio episodes ad-free, early access to merch and special discounts, special shoutouts from us at the end of our episodes, as well as a chance to connect with us on a monthly basis through our Dear ABG series, which is like our AMA sessions, exclusively for ABG Besties.
You can sign up now by tapping on a link in our episode show notes. It's basically the price of a boba, half the price of a cocktail, or 100th of the price of therapy. We are so excited to connect with you there.
But again, whether you sign up or not, we still so appreciate you for tuning in, and all of our episodes will still be available for free wherever you listen or watch. My grandma and I don't really speak the same language. She speaks Mandarin, and I speak very broken Mandarin, basically only English. This makes it pretty hard for us to communicate. We all love our grandma, but when we can't tell her exactly how we feel, it can be tough. McDonald's wants to help with that. To celebrate the new Grandma McFlurry, McDonald's launched sweetconnections.ai, where you can record a video message for Grandma and have it translated into her native language using AI. How cool is that? You can choose from different languages like Mandarin, Korean, Hindi, and Tagalog. It literally clones your voice, reanimates your face, and translates your words so that you look like you're speaking another language. If only I had this for my Mandarin classes in college. Check it out for yourself. Send your grandma a message at sweetconnections.ai. Then come to McDonald's to treat yourself to the Grandma McFlurry today. Available for a limited time at participating McDonald's, select languages available. Today, we are going to be talking about sex and sexual empowerment with Dr. Tara. She is an award-winning researcher, tenured professor of relational and sexual communication at Cal State Fullerton, a sex and relationship expert, and a sex-positive social media influencer. She hosts the Love Bites by Dr. Tara podcast and also runs a private practice as a sex and relationship coach. Well, we've had quite a few conversations about sex and relationships on this podcast. It's usually been amongst ourselves, and this is the first time we are inviting a PhD with a wealth of research. Dr. Tara studies sex from the intra and interpersonal perspective and specializes in sexual communication, relationship communication, and quantitative research.
Oh my God, I'm like literally so jittery from excitement or from my tea. I don't know what it is.
So legit. Like, listen to that bio.
Wow. Yeah. Thanks for having me. Are we having an orgasmic day?
I am about to. Very excited. We have so many questions for Dr. Tara and are eager to hear what she has to say about all the things from building sexual confidence, maintaining sexiness in a relationship, debunking myths, and tips for satisfaction. So grab a pen and paper, a glass for hydration, and let's get into it. No, or not? All right, so Dr. Tara, your content and focus of your academic work is sex positive, a perspective that isn't common in Asian households. What was your relationship with your body and with sex and relations when you're younger, Dr. Tara?
Oh my gosh. When I was younger, my relationship with my body has always been difficult. And I would say it's an ongoing process in terms of loving and celebrating my body. So a little bit about me. I'm originally from Bangkok, Thailand. And then I migrated here now 14 years ago. So in Bangkok, I grew up in a very conservative environment. I went to an all-girls Catholic school.
Oh, wow.
Where you have to like cover your wrists and your knees, because your knees are way too sexy and you don't want to provoke the men.
Yeah, very conservative background.
Yeah, very conservative in terms of, at my house, like at home and at school. So that's the context I grew up in. So of course I have a lot of complicated feelings about my body and like showing my body or like nudity. However, I was lucky enough to go to high school in Finland. And in Finland, they don't give a shit about bodies. They don't give a shit about nudity because people get naked to go into the saunas all the time. And it's a part of their culture.
Yeah.
So there's like a comfort with being naked.
It's like a body is just a body. Nudity is no one is gogging over someone being naked. There's just like, okay, another person, you've seen your like grandpa's balls. So, like it's cool, bro. Like, so in high school, people were getting naked, getting in and out of saunas, jumping into frozen lakes. So that was my first exposure to no shame nudity, right? Because where I'm from, like as much as I love, and I love Thai culture, right? There's a lot of good things about Thai culture. There's also things that need improvement, right? And one of them is body positivity for women, particularly. So yeah, I had that lucky moment of going to school in Finland and learning body neutrality, which is my favorite concept, because as much as I would love to celebrate my body every single day, I'm on period today.
I feel you. I feel you.
And I don't feel like celebrating it today.
Yeah.
But I am grateful that I have this body. And that's body neutrality, is being grateful and appreciative for its functions rather than beauty. Because beauty changes throughout your life. And yeah, I love body neutrality. So that's a little bit about me and my relationship with my body.
Wow. So cool. Well, given that background, how did then you get into the work that you do around sex and sexual relations and sexual confidence?
Yeah. So I honestly, I did not know this until when I was an adult, looking back, working with my therapist. I've always been a sexual kid. Like being, an 11-year-old in Thailand, like using the handheld bidet. The bidet. Yeah. Americans don't have bidets. So I'm like, how do you wash your ass?
They're starting to use them now, I think.
Yeah. It's not as common, but it is.
We didn't have the handheld.
Right, yeah. So in Asia, we have handheld bidets. So I remember being 11 and using the bidet like extra long on my clit. Yeah. Of course, at the time, did not know it was the clitoris or that it was pleasure or it was related to sex. It just felt good.
Yeah.
And but working with my therapist, I realized I've always been interested in sex and curious about sexual things. But I got into this work because in undergrad, I was really interested in behaviors. I remember I took a couple of classes that were related to behaviors. My undergrad was actually in business, but I studied like consumer behaviors.
Yeah.
I also studied human behavior, like a general like 100 level class. And then I studied a class on relationships as well. And then from there, I was like, oh, I'm really interested in this. I'm going to go get my master's in interpersonal and relational communication. So that's what I did. So in my master's, I actually started studying intercultural relationships. And I find it fascinating. Like 60 years ago, interracial marriages were illegal. And the ramifications of that still exist. Like depends on where you go in America. You go certain places in America, they still think interracial marriages are probably illegal socially. So I find that super interesting. So I was studying intercultural relationships, and then I got into my PhD program. My very first paper that I presented at a conference and also later on published in a peer-reviewed journal article was on effective long-distance relationships.
Oh.
And the behaviors that contribute to successful long-distance relationships. So I started studying relationships before I started studying sex.
Okay.
But then I encountered a moment of clarity where I learned that every single human and every single couple will experience a sex issue in their lifetime. And it's just a fact, right? Like maybe people are not aware of it yet, but you will struggle with sex. And ever since I became a practitioner and have my own private practice in LA, I know that everybody struggles with sex, like even me. So I was like, wow, if this is such a big issue, I want to be a part of a solution to a universal issue. I can literally be anywhere in the world and help solve this problem. So yeah, that's where like my really intrinsic motivation came from.
Yeah.
But at the time, I also was going through a lot in my personal life. So I was once I graduated from my PhD, I immediately got my dream job at Cal State Fullerton as a professor.
Amazing.
And I love it. I love teaching. I love hanging out with students, like, teaching them all the things I know about research. But in my personal life, I was married earlier. So I was married, my first marriage. I'm on my second marriage. My first marriage, I got married in my 20s. And it was hard. It was a hard marriage. It was really fun and exciting at first. But like, a good Asian girl from like people from my background, you get married because you're almost 30 and your parents want you to get married. And this man checks every box on paper, even though we didn't have strong chemistry. But that's fine because my parents said, you can build chemistry. But he checks every box. You should get married and become stable. So that's what I did. And you know what? Chemistry never came. So, and I never came.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, Father's Day is around the corner. Do you have your gifts ready? If not, and you're still looking for ideas, I think a great way to take care of the dads in our lives is to help them prioritize self-care through skincare. Let's help them prioritize themselves when they can too easily prioritize everyone else. Face is a men's Korean skincare brand that is AAPI owned and based right here in LA. They have the perfect set for those husbands and fathers who are new to skincare. Their daily skincare trio set only has 3 items: face wash to cleanse, toner to spray, and moisturizer to apply. And the bottles are even numbered, so it's very clear and extra easy to use. Or if your husband or dad has the basics down, you can upgrade his routine to the Advanced Age Defense Skincare Set, which includes an eye cream to brighten and smooth the under eyes, serum to deliver nutrients, and face cream to lock in moisture. Products in this line are formulated with a patented active volufiline, which is clinically proven to plump the skin and smooth out appearance of wrinkles. All of their products are cruelty-free, vegan, and free of parabens and sulfates. Get your Father's Day gifts today at omface.com and use code ABG Father's Day for 30% off. You can also find them on Amazon.
So yeah, I learned a big lesson. It was a very difficult time. There's a lot of cognitive dissonance where I feel like, okay, I'm teaching in class, right? Preaching sexual satisfaction, effective sexual behavior, have a conversation about sex, relationship satisfaction. These behaviors are great for you, but it's not happening in my real life. So I had mad cognitive dissonance where I'm like, okay, I'm a fraud. And I'm teaching these things and my relationship is falling apart, even though it seems super perfect from the outside.
Yeah.
Because when we got a divorce, all our friends were shocked. But I was so good at playing the part. Yeah. But I think that's what Asian women do.
That's true.
They're just good at playing the part, right? A lot of us that haven't really had the chance to, at the time, I didn't have a chance to really reevaluate what I want in life. And I just kind of play along with cultural expectations. And that's what happens when you do. Yeah. Is you don't get what you truly want. You get what everybody else wants for you. So I got a divorce. Yeah. And when I got a divorce, I cried every day. I cried every day for like 2 weeks straight and was very ashamed. Because here I am, sex and relationship expert. Yeah. Right? But getting a divorce, how shameful. Had to work a lot to overcome that shame, built my sexual confidence again, built my self-esteem again, and, met my now husband. And ever since we started dating, I tell him everything about what I need. Sexual communication on point. Yeah. I say everything. I'm like, I will not commit the same mistake from the first marriage. This marriage is going to be completely different, 160. And I need this to be something that we both enjoy. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm down for this. This is intense, but I'm down. Yeah. So yeah, here I am.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I think that makes so much sense. Your personal life and experiences probably fueled so much of your passion for what you're doing, right? Once you felt like in alignment.
Yeah. I'm grateful for my divorce. Yeah. Like I feel like I'm lucky that I got a divorce because I don't recommend couples or people who are going through a divorce to go see coaches and therapists that have never gotten a divorce.
Oh,
it's a very unique life experience. Yeah. And they cannot empathize with you unless they've been through it. So I've been through it. I know the extent of how shitty it feels.
So you're a much more effective therapist and
I feel lucky. Yeah.
Well, in your work, you talk about something called sexual esteem. Can you tell us what that is?
Yeah. So I spent 2 years studying sexual confidence because people ask me a lot, how can I be more confident? How can I exude confidence? How can I show up in the bedroom in like a confident way and and just like orgasm and have all the orgasms, right? How can I be this person? So I took that question to my heart, and I at the time I also had like a really good group of like research assistants. So we embarked on a 2-year journey and started studying sexual confidence and the variables that predict sexual confidence. And the deeper that we go into the literature, we realize that sexual confidence is just what people see. It's what you exhibit. But what you need to have is sexual esteem. So when I describe sexual esteem is internal. It's when you know your self-worth. It's when you love yourself and you know you deserve pleasure. So that's sexual esteem, and it's internal and it's to the core. So you need this to be authentic. Sexual confidence is how you exhibit yourself, so how other people see you. So you need both. Can you fake it? Yes. A lot of people have low esteem, but seemingly high confidence because they can fake it, right? They can exhibit confidently, but actually inside feel really bad and anxious. But sometimes you fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Sometimes people just kind of get into the groove of going on dates, being in relationships, like showing up sexually in a confident way. And then one day they're just like, oh, this is my second nature. Like maybe this is me. So then they can grow self-esteem and sexual esteem from there too. But I always tell people, from studying 5,000 individuals, we learned that building your sexual esteem is one of the most important things in life in general. Yeah.
How did you go about building your own sexual esteem?
Yeah. So there are a lot of practices that we found to be effective, and also other research in the sexuality literature as well as positive psychology literature. 4 main practices that I really like are the first one is sexual meditation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The second one is journaling. So thankful journaling. The third one is, I guess this one works best if you have a partner. So sexy check-ins. So sexual conversations or dialogue. And then the fourth practice is actually body scan. And doing body scan regularly, because one of the main factors of sexual esteem is body love, like body confidence. It contributes a lot to having high sexual esteem and just self-esteem in general. Yeah. So all of those practices have been the things that I practice daily for years. And I've seen the differences in myself. I've also applied this to a lot of my clients and have seen differences in them too.
It is finally starting to feel like summer, which means more social events, weddings to attend, nights out in the town, more vacations, which is why I'm so thankful for today's sponsor, Honeylove, for covering us with the best shapewear. I used to not be a fan of shapewear and prefer to keep things all natural. But the thing is, a lot of really cute skirts, dresses, and outfits, they just work better when you have comfortable support. Like you just feel more confident. But one of my biggest gripes with shapewear is that they can often feel suffocating or bunch up in all the wrong places. Not with Honeylove. Their best-selling Superpower short smooths, shapes, and lifts, giving you a flawless silhouette under any outfit. This short has targeted compression that distinguishes between areas where you want more support and areas where you need less compression. Their Signature X targets and sculpts without squeezing your natural curves, so you get the perfect amount of compression. This piece is also a nice booty lifter, which, as a pancake butt girly, I appreciate. The boost bands on the back of the thigh give your bottom amazing shape. Honeylove also has bodysuits, bras, tanks, and leggings for everyday support. Treat yourself to the best bras and shapewear on the market and save 20% off at honeylove.com/ABG. Use our exclusive link to get 20% off, honeylove.com/ABG. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. These summer vibes are just getting started. ABGs, shape your life with Honeylove.
I have a few questions about this sexual esteem because I'm just like taking notes myself. When you say like gratitude, is it more like I'm grateful for this blue sky? Is it more like, or are you grateful for like does that be related to sex?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, do you say like, I'm grateful that my vagina could experience pleasure, like things like that? Or?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So some of the affirmations that I really like is like, first is, I have amazing sexual energy. I'm thankful for my sexual body. Right? Because even saying that, some people will say, oh, that's cringe. But it's cringe because of social conditioning. It shouldn't be cringe. Sex is very natural.
Yeah.
Sex, pooping, peeing, and eating are the things that we do as humans.
Yeah.
From the caveman era. Like being on the phone is unnatural. Sex is natural.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, it's, have to say it until one day it's just not cringe anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, saying in my head or writing in my journal, like, I have amazing sexual energy. I'm thankful for my sexual body. I'm thankful for my pussy for orgasming 3 times this morning. Yeah, just keep doing until one day it's no longer cringe.
Got it. And for body scan, it's more like looking at yourself naked in the mirror?
Yes, you can do that. So you can, there's different methods. You can look at yourself in the mirror and scan from head to toe. You can lay down and not look, right? And just feel. You can sit down and not look and just feel. So it just depends. And in terms of body scan, you can do it in relations to pleasure mapping, which is massaging different parts of your body and take a mental note of which parts are stimulating and which parts are not. Some people find, for example, toes are very sexually stimulating. Some people don't.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the practice that I do quite regularly because people change too.
Yeah.
Like, I work with clients that just had a baby and her pelvic area is like no longer a sensual spot.
Yeah.
And but on the other hand, she found a new sensual spot, which is like on the right side of her neck.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So
that's true. If you don't scan, you might not know what your new spot is.
most people don't know what their spots are.
That's true.
Yeah, most people have never done body scan or pleasure mapping. So I highly recommend everyone that's listening to do it because it will build your sexual esteem, right? Knowledge is power. So self-knowledge fuels your sexual esteem. Yeah. So as you're listening, just think about after this episode, go lay down or look at yourself in the mirror and then do a little scan.
I agree. I do want to add one thing. I think when you said like your story about how you grew up in Thailand and you went to like Finland, and it was such a different experience, and like how the body is just a body. I think having that experience, I could see why you're just more confident within your body, because this is such a random story, but like I started going to like the Korean spa and I realized everyone has to be naked. And I didn't realize through that experience is like how uncomfortable I feel being naked. Because I always feel like even when I shower before that, I wouldn't look at myself naked because I'm just like, I got to go in the shower.
You feel like it's like, you can't even look at yourself.
And we have so much social conditioning. Yeah. My mom is nervous every time we go to Korean spas.
Yeah.
And my mom's 65. Also, my mom's 65 and just had her first vibrator last year. I gifted one to her. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it's like, it's, I think it's a little bit harder for people from certain cultures.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, but I think what you're saying about the body scan, like my experience with the Korean spa, I can see why it's really empowering to know and be confident in your like naked body.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, like this is like really random. But I think for the longest time when I was younger, I would only want to have sex in the dark because I felt uncomfortable. Like I was like, oh, like my body, like it just felt weird to me. And it wasn't until like getting more comfortable with myself naked, I was like, okay, lights can go on or it could be in the daytime.
Yeah. I love that. Thanks for sharing, because literally body image issues is the biggest issues for women. And that's why there's so many products.
Yeah.
For those issues specifically.
Can you talk a little bit more about, so when you say body scanning and then like sexual meditation, is that like how did you discover that as like a method to helping you with gaining better like sexual esteem?
Yeah, so sexual meditation is a part of practices that's called sexual mindfulness activities. And sexual mindfulness was found in many research studies, many experiments to be one of the key factors that contribute to orgasms. People that score high in sexual mindfulness are the people that are able to be present, feel all the sensations in their body, and come.
That makes sense.
So if you have never had an orgasm, perhaps one of the issues is that you lack the ability to stay present and feel the sensations in the different parts of your body. And sexual mindfulness activities, one of them being sexual meditation, contribute to people gaining the skills of sexual mindfulness. So research, I think there's a lot of research from the University of British Columbia. Dr. Laurie Brotto actually wrote a couple of books about sexual mindfulness and how it changes people's lives. Her research is mainly about women. And one of the studies was about women who had low to no sexual desire, no sex drive, due to cancer. Due to, I believe it was one of those cancer that's about reproductive system.
I see.
And these are the women that reported like, yeah, I have low to no sexual desire. I don't want to have sex. And they enrolled in this intervention, this experiment with Dr. Brotto and her lab. And through the intervention of sexual mindfulness activities, they measure these subjects again after the intervention, and they significantly improved in their sex drives and sexual desires. So from reading these research long time ago, I was so inspired by these research. And when it comes to my study that involved 5,000 participants, I also involved the variable sexual mindfulness in it. And it is one of the most significant predictors of long-term sexual satisfaction of a person.
Wow. This summer is all about self-care. Being in a new era of my life, I want to make sure I'm taking proper care of myself. I'm scheduling Pilates classes, walking a lot more to get those steps in, applying sunscreen before heading out, eating balanced meals, and taking care of my gut. Whether you're off to the pool, hiking, or traveling this summer, you're bringing your microbiome with you too. The 38 trillion bacteria that live in and on you, especially in your gut, are essential to whole body health. Seeds DSO1 Daily Symbiotic benefits your gut, skin, and heart health in just 2 capsules a day. One of the biggest changes I made was to correct my digestive system and to be more in tune with my body. I've added Seeds DSO1 Daily Symbiotic to my morning routine. I usually take this first thing in the morning with my other vitamins after waking up, and I'm seeing a huge difference. I'm the most regular I've ever been in my life, if you know what I mean. I also know a lot of you guys are traveling this summer, so I recommend taking your DSO1 on the go with your travel vial. I used this during my trip to Asia, and it worked wonders for my digestion. Support your gut this summer with Seeds DSO1 Daily Symbiotic. Go to seed.com/ABG and use code 25ABG to get 25% off your first month. That's 25% off your first month of Seeds DSO1 Daily Symbiotic at seed.com/ABG. Code 25ABG. How do you do sexual meditation? Do you have to be doing sex to, or meditating during
to
sex?
be doing sex?
Sorry, what's an example of a sexual meditation that maybe our listeners can practice?
Yeah. So there are 2 types of sexual meditations. One is you can do it quietly by yourself by thinking sexual thoughts. So like imagining a scenario where it's very sexually arousing for you, or even just reminiscing the last time that you had like an orgasm or that it was very hot. And then meditate through, like breathe, do the breath work and meditate through that, and maybe set a timer for like 5 to 10 minutes. You can do that. You can do body scan, right? You can think about the different parts of the body. You can massage the different parts of the body as well as closing your eyes and breathing. So that's the first type, is doing it by yourself quietly. The second type is guided meditations. And there's a lot of sex positive guided meditations or sexual meditations that are guided.
That's cool.
One of them is mine, and it's completely free, and it's on YouTube.
Okay.
So if you want to go on YouTube and you search like Dr. Tara sexual meditation, it will come up. I have like 5-minute one, a 10-minute one, a solo one, and one for couples.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
a lot of
cool.
couples try it because, you know, the most common issue for couples is boring sex life. Like after 3 years, you're going to have a boring sex life. And that's just normal. Let's all accept it. Let's not think it's like hurting your face. It's okay. Let's normalize like, okay, we've been together 3 years. It's a little boring. That's fine. What can we do?
Yeah.
And are you putting in the effort? That's a bigger question, right? And I usually recommend sexual meditation for the couples I work with because it's new.
Yeah.
And novelty and excitement always bring back like a little bit of passion.
Yeah.
And I have them do it naked.
Oh.
Yeah. So even just
in
being
front of
naked.
you or oh no, it's a meditation. Girl, I was thinking
In
it's a
front of
therapy
each other.
session.
In front of each other. I assign it as a homework. So
LOL.
they get naked, they hold each other's hands, sit down, and do the guided meditation that's on YouTube. Yeah.
Another thing you talk about, Dr. Tara, is like what you talk about sexual communication, which you have a very healthy. It sounds like you have a very healthy communication with your husband. What does healthy sexual communication sound like?
You know, I actually recently had a live show at Noya House in Hollywood, and it was a sold out show, and my husband was there too, but he did not know that I was going to call upon him to come on stage and have that conversation with me live.
Oh, wow.
So it was not prepped.
Yeah.
Like, he did not know.
Like, what?
He was like, I was like, would you mind? He's like, okay. I'm like, okay, here, come on, here's a mic.
Yeah.
And we showed people what it's like in real life and it's not rehearsed. So healthy sexual communication has two facets.
Okay.
The first facet is macro sexual communication, and that's communication about sex. So about our sex life. How is it going? How are we feeling? What else do we want to explore together? Right. And I recommend couples do this monthly. I call it monthly sexy check-in. And be intentional. So like set a date, put it on the calendar, go on a date, right? Go to dinner and then have this conversation. The first question you're going to ask is, for this last month, how would you rate our sex life from 1 to 10? And I did this on stage with my husband, and people gasp because he said 7 and I said 6 that month. We were really busy.
Yeah.
I was sick half the time. So I was super sick with a cold for 2 weeks. And then we were really busy. So we gave those ratings and people were gasping because I think people just imagine Tara must have a 10 out of 10 sex life all the time.
Yeah.
But I love sharing that rating in front of everybody. I'm not ashamed.
Yeah.
I want to show people like you go through ebbs and flow.
Yeah.
You know, even a sex expert, you go through stuff. Like, I love anal, but also, like, you know, I don't want to do it all the time.
Yeah.
But my husband scored it 1 point higher because, you know, guys are pretty easy to please. I gave him like 2 hand jobs. He was like, okay, cool, 7. But we also, that month, we went to a fun sex party together. And we explored in that scene with that new sex party. We've gone to sex parties before, but that one was new. So for him, it was a fun exploration and a fun month.
Yeah.
Right? Not necessarily a lot of sex.
Yeah.
So it was cool to share those things on stage. I was like, you know, I would love more just like cuddling and massaging my breasts without penetration. Right? So we had that conversation in front of everybody and they're like, wow, it's that normal to just say these things? Won't my husband get offended? Like, well, maybe they get offended the first time, but they won't the next time.
Yeah.
So gotta kind of just bite your lip and start having this conversation.
Yeah.
So the first question you're going to ask is, how was our sex life last month? The second question is a probing question is, how can we improve that by 1 point? What can we do?
I like that. It's very like exact.
Yeah.
Or more, it's
1
pointed.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know what? People, especially the media, show you like an amazing like 11 out of 10 sex life all the time.
It's not
and
realistic.
It's so much fucking pressure.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have time for that. So how can we even improve by 1 point next month together, right? A group effort. And then the last question is there something that you want to explore that you want to share with me? So these 3 questions you want to have monthly.
Got it.
I swear to you, if you have these 3 questions monthly, you will save so much like therapy and relationship counseling money later on. Because all the counseling that I do is related to these things. But if you have
not
these
being on the same page or not talking about it.
Exactly. Yeah. So these conversations really just save a lot of marriages. That's macro sexual communication. So talking about sex.
Calling all health-conscious, biohack-curious listeners, it is Janet here, and I want to share with you the newest device or health toy that I've been using. It's called Lumen, the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. How cool is that? On the app, it lets you know if you're burning mostly fats or carbs and gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workouts, sleep, and even stress management. Here's how I use my Lumen. When I wake up in the morning, I open the app, I grab my Lumen, and I breathe into the device. There's this lovely calming voice that coaches you through the measurement process. Then the app tells me whether I'm burning mostly fats or carbs. It starts to get more interesting once you track for a couple of weeks, and you can start to see patterns between your nutrition, movement, and sleep. Your metabolism is important because it's your body's engine. It's how your body turns the food you eat into fuel that keeps you going. And because your metabolism is at the center of everything your body does, optimal metabolic health translates to a bunch of benefits, including easier weight management, improved energy levels, better fitness results, better sleep, etc. So if you want to take the next step in improving your health, go to lumen.me/ABG to get 15% off your Lumen. That's lumen.me/ABG for 15% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode.
The second type of conversation is micro sexual communication, and it's talking during sex.
Okay, communicating while
Any of you talk during sex? Or are you more like,
It's a mix. I think I see the benefit of talking in a sexual way, though.
Yeah.
Not like, hey, kiss this pause real quick.
Yeah,
But
move left a little bit, 2 centimeters to the left.
I think I see the benefit, like communicating, like in a
Is
heated
it like
way.
showing pleasure or like
Just like I like when you do this, like affirming what I like and be like guiding him if I want something more for something else.
Do you do dirty talk?
Define dirty talk.
Oh, like, oh, daddy's cock looks so hard today.
No. I don't know. I'm not into I don't like calling my man daddy.
Well, you don't have to. You can be. You can say other things.
That's
like,
true.
Yeah. Can't wait for you to fill me up.
Oh.
Like, these are just dirty talk. I can say a lot of them.
I think I'm like elementary school level dirty talk.
No, I love it, but I love that. I love that you even share that because this is where we normalize things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Like a lot of couples want kinky shit. They want kinky shit, but they don't know where to even start. I always say start with dirty talk. It's free. You don't have to buy it.
That's true.
And you can start with a very, very, very basic. Right? Like, can't wait to see you naked tonight. If you sexted them during the day, that's new.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Couples are like, how can we spice up our sex life? Should we buy lingerie? Should we buy like all these toys? I'm like, everything's great, but none of that matters. Start with this. Yeah. Sext them. Sext him. It's 3:00.
That's true.
Sext him right now, right? Like, can't wait to see you naked tonight. Or like, would you like a blowjob tonight? He's gonna die.
That's true.
Yeah, so that's how I tell people, like, that's where we can start.
That's true.
And then from there, there's a lot to go with. A lot. Yeah. So all of that is micro sexual communication. It's communication during sex. It can be dirty talk, sexting, giving instructions, giving compliments. People love compliments. The more compliments, the better.
Yeah.
And I think it's just not in our natural repertoire, especially as Asians, to say like horny compliments during sex, right?
Yeah.
But we love hearing them.
It's
right?
true.
You know, like, oh, your tits look amazing, babe. Like my husband said last night. I'm like, yes, I know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah, that makes me feel good and desired and
Yes.
sexy. And
Yes.
I know he wants me. Like, right? So compliments are like amazing aphrodisiac and more people should do it, both women and men.
What are good resources if you want to like get better at dirty talk?
Dr. Tara.
Dr. Tara.
Yeah, Dr. Tara. I have a whole episode on Love Bites podcast that's about dirty talk. I have articles on my website that's about dirty talk. I'm basically the dirty talk queen.
I mean, you said those lines so naturally.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
Yeah, I literally wake up. It's just like, oh, your cock is so big.
Good morning.
Yeah. My husband's like, oh yeah, baby.
Sorry, I love this. Oh, I'm just getting excited.
Okay, so you did talk a little bit about sex drive. I'm curious what constitutes as like a low sex drive versus a high sex drive. And then if you have partners who have different levels, do you think that has that ever, like, do you think that's something that could ruin a relationship?
Wow, great questions. These are juicy. Okay, so yeah, this is one of the most common issues in long-term relationships. But first, let's define sex drive. So in sexuality research, we're trying our best to move away from the word sex drive because a drive is very it's like a natural response and something that you need, that you require. As modern humans, we don't really require sex. We require food and we require water. We require shelter, right? So these are the things that you absolutely must have in order to live like a human, right? But you're not going to die without sex. Like you're going to be frustrated, but you're not going to die. So technically, scientifically, not a drive.
Gotcha.
But we've said sex drive for like 100 years. So it's so hard to change the word, you know, but for the understanding of the modern humans and all the Asian Boss Girls listeners, a sex drive is more like a sexual desire. And people can have low, moderate, or high sexual desire. Let's say from 1 to 10. 1 is let's say 0. 0 is asexual. So no sexual desire, like do not want sex. 1 is low sexual desire. 10 is very high sexual desire. And this is synonymous to sex drive, right? The meaning of it is your desire to have sex of any kind, not just penetration. Your desire to engage in sexual activity of any kind. I can have a 10 sexual desire and be completely satisfied masturbating daily, right? So it does not involve a partner. Does not involve penetration, right? So I can just use my vibrator on my clitoris, come and have a great day. So first off, that's sexual desire, aka sex drive. Can you have problems if there is sexual desire discrepancy between you and your spouse or partner? Yes, it is top 3 issues in long-term relationships is sexual desire discrepancy. If you're, let's say for an example of a heterosexual relationship, if your husband is an 8 out of 10 in sex drive and you are 5 out of 10, the discrepancy is what?
3.
Yeah.
How do you even measure someone to be a 5 or an 8?
There are measurements, like there are quizzes that you can take to identify when you talk to your therapist and they go through like assessment, you can figure out. But also you can just also like self-observe and self-identify. You know, like how many times like a day do you think about sex? How many times a week do you have the desire to masturbate? How many times a month you have the desire to have sex with your partner or someone that you're dating? You can also just self-identify. Like if you know, I haven't taken the quiz for a long time, but if I have to self-identify right now, it will be, I'd say an 8. Like I masturbate often, even including mutual masturbation, which is one of my favorite sexual activities with my partner, because I love hearing him come. But a lot of times we're not desiring penetrative sex. So we'll both masturbate together next to each other and come. We try to come at the same time because it's hot.
Because it's an intimate experience you're sharing.
It is.
Yeah,
It's a sexual experience, right? So it doesn't have to be penetration.
That's true.
So for me, I'd say like around this time, I'm about 8. There are times I'm lower. There are times I'm higher. Just depends. So you can self-identify based on personal data from the past. Like, you know, think of the past 3 to 6 months and identify yourself. In terms of low, you asked me like what's low, what's high. I would say based on your own baseline. Let's say your natural baseline is like 5, right? If this month you're feeling 1, that's low, right? If this month you're feeling 8, that's high, right? So you have to first identify your like natural baseline. I would say my baseline is high. Like I'm a very sexual person and I love, like one of my love languages is sex. But some months when I score 4, that's low. Right. I'm just like really not feeling it. Maybe I go through like fertility issue. Maybe I go through whatever stuff I'm going through, paying taxes. You know, that's low for me.
Yeah.
So it just depends on your baseline.
Got it.
Are you guys comfortable like thinking about like do some self-reflection?
Yeah, I
and maybe
mean,
share?
I'm trying to think, like, I don't know. I don't think my sex drive is low,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think my sex drive is also too high.
Would you say like 6?
Probably a 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to always think that I was someone who with like a low sex drive, but I actually think maybe I have like just pretty normal. So I'd say feeling like 7.
Mm-hmm.
6,
Yeah, so that's
really?
I feel maybe.
Oh,
I just
wow.
always,
Sorry.
I don't know what it was. Maybe just in previous conversations or like social norms and stuff. But maybe just hearing you talk about it more, and then also just like in the last couple of years, it's different now. Also, like I think I have like a pretty normal.
Do you
average
guys
sex drive.
masterate at least once a week?
I like to.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so that's like
That's, like,
pretty
normal.
healthy and
Healthy,
normal.
okay.
Yeah, like normal is like a hard word because normal for everyone is different. I would
Yeah.
say that's usual.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
a
see.
usual modern women in their like prime age working hard
Yeah.
score.
Yeah.
You feel
Yeah, I would
desire at least like once a week is like the
Yeah,
thing.
I would say between like 6 to 8, it's like, or 5, let's say 5 to 8 is like a usual number for
Yeah.
a modern woman
Mm.
who's working. Yeah. Like if I'm not working and I'm doing Pilates and getting my nails done and getting lattes, I'll probably be 10 all the time. You know?
Have all
Yeah,
the
yeah.
stressors
Stress.
that lower
That's
down
true.
your sex
Stress
drive. Yeah.
kills your libido.
Mm.
Stress is the worst killer of libido. And a very famous sexologist, Dr. Emily Nagoski, that wrote that like famous book, Come As You Are,
Yeah.
talks about that like almost the whole book. The whole book, she keeps saying, if you're stressed out, you're not having sex. It's the worst thing. And because we're all entrepreneurs, there are stressful moments,
That's
right?
actually probably, now that I think about it, I think it's like in periods of my life when I was more stressed out than I considered, it kills
like,
your sex drive. Yeah.
I'm not gonna want to fuck. I'm
Yeah.
stressed out.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think I kind of ebb and flow because I told Jen this before. Sometimes I'm stressed. Sometimes masturbation actually is a stress relief for me.
Yes, I
So-
actually masturbate when I'm stressed.
Yeah.
but I don't want partner sex.
Oh, I see.
Like
So
I don't
it's
want to. I
different.
don't want to work.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. You know what?
I don't want to work for it.
That's
Yeah,
true.
I want
That's
an
true.
easy 2-minute way out.
Yeah, that makes sense. Wait, so back to the original question. Would you say that, for example, someone with a low sex drive or a low sexual desire and high sexual desire can actually be compatible? Or it probably, or
Ooh.
like, for example, I could see like I'm not trying to be a therapist, but like I could see like maybe one partner is low and one partner is high. I would tell the person who has high, like, go masturbate then. Like, it doesn't have to be penetration or like, I don't know. Is that, I don't know. I'm just answering for you, but I would love to hear your answer.
100%.
Yeah.
You're right. You're a good TA. You want to be a TA in my class?
I would love to be your
You should come
assistant.
TA in my class.
I
A lot
would
of my
just
students are Asian because it's Cal State Fullerton.
I would go.
Yeah, you should come be my TA. But okay, I do have to give a disclaimer. Within the sexuality realm, there are a lot of professionals. So there's therapists that are like sex therapists that are trained in sex therapy, helping people with sex issues and trauma.
Got it.
And then there are sex coaches, right? And then there are sex like counselors or mentor. There's sex researchers and scholars. So I would say I'm a crossover between sex researcher, scholars / sex coach, right? So I don't do like trauma therapy. I am not a trauma-based therapist. But I coach people based on what their goals are. Let's set the goals together. What is the relationship goals? And let's get there through all of these practices that I'm going to teach you. And I'm going to give you homework, right? So in my camp, it is absolutely possible to be different in the score, sexual desire score, and be together and be compatible. But I'm going to just say right now, it's hard. It's very hard, especially that discrepancy is big. Like if one person is 1 and the other person is 10, I'd say like break up.
Yeah. You got a long road ahead.
No,
That's gonna
it's
be
so
to-
hard. And I've seen it before. And actually they ended up getting a divorce, you know, because they did not talk about sex before getting married. You have to talk about sex before you get married because it's the sex, division of chores, money, children. Like the apocalypse of divorce. Right. If you
Write
don't
that down.
talk, if you don't talk about sex and money and children, like before you get married, you will have problems. 100%.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. This is not even like a prediction. It's just facts at this point. There's a lot of research.
Curious though, was it like if you knowing that sometimes people's like sex number will change?
Right.
If is like, could you coach someone through if they like started their relationship, one was low, one was high, that you could like help them get to a more like equal standing? Or to your point, maybe everyone has somewhat of a general baseline that you're born with?
Ooh, that's a good question. The baseline isn't something you were born with. The baseline is environmental.
Okay.
So how you grew up.
That's true.
Do you have sexual trauma?
I see.
Were you like sexually assaulted or molested when you were young, and you have a lot of preconceived notion of what a sex life should look like? Were you treated badly in your previous relationship? Are you happy now? Are you stressed? Is your work scary? Is it, do you have certainty in your relationship? Do you have a good relationship with your family? There's so many different environmental factors. But I think people do have like a general idea of, okay, when on my normal days, okay, when I'm not super stressed about something, and when I'm not like just super free, on my normal days, I'm about this, like between two scores apart. But then, there will be circumstances, right? Like my dog dies, like I'm going to feel really shitty and I will not want to have sex for like a month, right? So there's differences like that. But I would say as a coach, I've seen people who have really, really big discrepancy getting a divorce or going through a breakup because it's just really hard to get together at that point. But your question is more about adjusting based on seasons of life. I've seen lots of people do that, adjusting throughout their relationship. I've seen a couple that I've seen now 3 years, and I've seen them adjusting, right? The first time they came to practice, they had a 3-month-old baby. Right.
So
and then now through the years, I've seen them adjust and it's successful. But their first discrepancy was about like 3 to 4 points apart. It's not like 8 points apart. So I think there's like realistic goals and unrealistic goals. But I can say that because I'm a sex researcher and a coach. Therapists will probably not say that because therapists are there to help heal you from the past.
So
they're not going to be like, you should get a divorce. But sometimes I say that. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know if this is going to work.
I mean, the honesty. All right, Dr. Tara, I have a question for you. When it comes to the experience of pleasure, especially the big O, orgasms, our experiences as women are diverse and nuanced. What comes easy for some can be tricky for others because we're all different bodies. Could you share insights or techniques that could help women enhance their pleasure and potentially experience orgasms? Because I think I read somewhere that like a lot of women actually don't come through penetration and through sex. So I just would love to hear like your take on that and any tips or advice.
Yeah. So the first question from what I'm hearing, and this is the question that I get the most from like female college students when I teach, I usually leave like the last 10 to 15 minutes to just Q&A. Like, how are we doing this week? Any sex questions? And the most common question I get from female students is, I don't think I can come. How can I have vaginal orgasm? I've only come from using a vibrator on my clitoris. And I said, well, actually, my students often say, I don't think I can come. I don't think I can come vaginally. The answer is, yes, you can. The answer is, all people who have vaginas have the capacity to have vaginal orgasm. Okay. Whether or not you get there doesn't really matter unless it's distressing you. It feels, you get the same benefit as clitoral orgasms, right? You get the same releases of endorphins and dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin when you come from your clit too. So the benefits are the same. But if you're wondering, how can I achieve vaginal orgasms, there are a couple of different practices and also different other tips for your partner. So first off, you want to try doing Kegels a little bit more often because people who can come vaginally have better control of their vagina, right? And how do you do Kegels? Think of when you pee and stop peeing. That's Kegels. Yeah, it's like doing this with your vagina, right? Like right now, I'll do it, right?
I just twitched.
Like if you're peeing, and you hold, you squeeze, contract, like a stop peeing. That's Kegels. So if you do that, like let's say when you watch TV, right? Like I watch like Emily in Paris and I just do like 10 Kegel. I'm doing 3 right now, right, as we speak. That will help you gain control of your vagina, and you have a better mind-body connection. And the mind-body connection is is related to ability to orgasm vaginally. So that's the first practice. Second is sexual meditation. There's a lot of people who could not orgasm that after doing sexual meditations and being more connected to their bodies, then gain the ability to orgasm vaginally. A third practice is trying, if you have a partner, like have them finger you, like try fingering, because sometimes people can't come through a penis or a strap-on if you're like a lesbian and you're using a strap-on. Penis and strap-on are like a little bit harder to come vaginally. Fingering sometimes is easier. Through fingering was the first time I squirted. So like squirting was not possible with a penis, but squirting is possible with fingering. So fingering is another practice. Now with your partner, you have to make sure that you're very warmed up down there. If you're not warmed up and like wet and horny, you're not going to have vaginal orgasm. Yeah, it's hard to get there. Also, I want to, if you don't already know this, I want to teach everyone that your G-spot, which is still like debatable, your G-spot and your clitoris is like a mirror to each other. So think of like, this is like the clitoris, right, on the outside, like the little peak. The other side, inside your vagina, that's your G-spot. It's the same system. So the clitoris has like 2 long legs inside your body, into the vagina, and it has 10,000 nerve endings. So it goes everywhere. So when we're saying, okay, we have vaginal orgasm, it's really still hitting the clit on the other side. Yeah, and that's why clitoral stimulation at the same time as penetration can be really helpful too. Yeah. Because you can kind of just get a combo orgasm inside and outside at the same time. So don't be afraid to pull, like can I use my vibrator? Pull a vibrator and then use a vibrator while they penetrate you. Yeah.
Very great tip.
Try it tonight and report back. Homework.
I'll see my boyfriend in a few days. So
yeah, totally do. And let me know if you get combo orgasms.
Yeah. The combo
That's your homework assignment, Mel.
Okay.
Yeah, it feels so good. Such a good release.
Dr. Tara, I also want to ask you about Tantra sex.
Yeah.
So I hear this term a lot, and I want you to tell us a little bit about like, what is it? And if someone is interested in getting involved, what are some resources to get started?
I don't know why when I hear Tantra, I think of like fingers. Like going like this. That's totally not, that's not what it is, huh?
It can be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Tantra is energy, relationship, and sex philosophies. That's from like the ancient Indian writings, right? So like people say, Kama Sutra is a part of Tantra. But Tantra is about living a passionate life and having a passionate relationship. But people have kind of using the term and morphing it into tantric sex. And tantric sex is all about that slow, energetic sex, like edging or having multiple orgasms, or maybe not even not having ejaculation, but having orgasms, like for men, right? So there's all of these different behaviors associated with what we call tantric sex, but it's all energy based and it's slower, right? So in a Western world, we think sex of like the
jackrabbit,
right? Yeah, the bang, bang, bang. If you watch like mainstream porn or just like movies, you just see like, oh, it's so hot, we're kissing, right? He lifts her skirt and like he inserts and there go right? Like so that's the sexual script that we see. But Tantra is like the opposite. The Tantra is all the teasing and the longing and the yearning. Yeah. Well, it's also penetration, but it's like maybe you're soaking. Like maybe you get in and you stay. And you stay and you breathe in each other's endorphins for a while. And, you're massaging each other and you're grabbing and you're like, it's very carnal, but very slow. It's energetic sex. So like energy based.
Wow.
And people that practice tantric sex say that they can come like hundreds of times. Sting, I don't know if you guys know Sting.
The musician.
He said that he had sex for 7 hours. tantric sex for 7 hours.
I mean, if you're going slow, maybe.
So, so I don't know what he actually does. I don't know if this is true, but tantric sex is slower. It's like the anti-Western sex culture.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I love it. I love tantric sex. I love tantric massage, where he like massages me and hit like all this horny points.
Yeah.
And then also like finger me. Like yoni massage is a part of tantric sex. Which is fingering, like the art of fingering. So I love all of those. I love slow. I love when he spends a lot of time on me.
Yeah.
Because we're in such a fast-paced world, and sex is often about when the man comes. So I love this like anti-man coming culture of like, okay, you give me everything. You know, at least for the next 30 minutes.
So it's much more about the experience than like
It's much
finishing
more about
or any
the
destination.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that summary. It is. It's much more about the experience and not about orgasms. But I like that too. Cherry on top. Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Thank you.
Yeah. Go do that.
I'll work on Tantra. You work on.
I'll do all
Yes. Yeah, I did like a Tantra guide with Cosmo. And it's on my website too. So
Okay,
if you
check
like go
that
on my
out.
website and search
I'm
like
about to be a
tantric
frequent
sex.
user, a visitor of Dr. Tara's website. Dr. Tara, I feel like there are endless questions I still have for you, but I feel super educated just after you answer all these questions. And I feel like you have such an exciting future ahead. So what's next for you?
So I am this month I actually just launched Dr. Tara Sex Academy.
Ooh.
And it's sex ed courses for adults. Because
I
I
like
realized
that.
like we've never had sex ed.
Oh, yeah.
Period. You know, like our
Yeah.
sex ed was like in the assembly, and it was like teacher showing us how to wear a condom and telling all the girls not to get pregnant.
Yeah,
it's
just
very like
biology.
shame
It was-
based.
yeah.
It's like don't have sex, right? Rather than like pleasure is good for you.
Yeah.
So my sex academy is all about like combating all of those shame and stereotypes and helping people feel more sexually empowered.
Yeah.
So I just launched that this month. I'm very excited to launch 2 more courses through Sex Academy. I'm leaving to London to film a show called Celebs Go Dating, where
cool.
I'm
That
the
is-
host and a sex expert. I'm coaching celebrities and send them to go on dates. And yeah, later this year, actually on Asian Boss Girl vibe, later this year, I'm launching my own sex and relationship wellness brand. called
Amazing.
Yeah, Love by Dr. Tara.
Oh my gosh.
Mm.
That sounds so cool.
And the first product is coconut oil vegan lube.
Sign me up.
Yeah, it's the best. We treat it like Korean skincare.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's good for sex. It's good for your vulva. She'll get some treatment.
Oh, yeah.
Good for the guys, maybe their penis skin needs some TLC.
Some moisture.
It's skincare for your dick and vulvas.
I love that.
Yeah, so that's later this year. I'm really excited. It's an active year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's super exciting.
Thank
And I also
you.
know you host a podcast. Where can our listeners listen to your podcast?
Yeah, so my podcast is called Love Bites by Dr. Tara. You can find all of the sex information we just talked about, my podcast, my Instagram, and TikTok on my website, lovebites.co. That's LUVBITES.co.
Thanks again for being here with us, Dr. Tara.
Yeah, thank you.
This was a great episode. Leave some, I don't know, if you have questions in the comments, can they leave you some questions?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on over to my website and leave questions.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. And with that, we will catch you all on the next episode.
Bye.
Hope you enjoyed this episode. If you want more, you can become an ABG bestie to get more exclusive content from us.
Like we mentioned earlier, you'll get our new audio episodes ad-free, along with early access and special discounts to merch, access to our familiar faces through the return of our Dear ABG series, which is like our Big Sister advice column, answering questions that you submit to us. We'll also shout you out at the end of our episodes.
We are so excited to connect with you there. Check out the episode show notes for more details.